Hello, and this is the Ben Blackwell Show, brought to you by Hit Hard News. Today, I am joined by Dave Allen. How are you, Dave?
I'm good, thank you, mate. You?
I'm not too bad, Dave. Thank you for asking. So, as I said, that this feature is going to be on our new website, Hit Hard News, and you will be our first fighter to feature on my segment of the website. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for giving me a bit of your time today. So for people who don't know about yourself, may I ask at what age did you get into boxing?
Yeah, my first amateur fight when I was 18 years old. Um, I only had 10 amateur fights. Turned pro pretty quick.
Hmm.
I've had 10 professional fights as well. Out of the 20 combined, I've only lost one of them to the double ABA champion Simon Barkley. Currently
Hmm.
ranked 9 in Britain. Closing on a British title fight, whether that's next or it's even next or it's after one more fight. So we're getting there now. And like I say, I've done it all in quick time, but just joined the Ingle gym. And I've only just started to do things properly. So, if I've got here where I am now, just relying on my physical capabilities that I was blessed with, and now with the correct team around me, I think the British title is going to be won in 2016.
And we will get that into later on terms of this interview. So let's go back to the start of your pro career. You spent a lot of time with Sheffield promoter Dennis Hobson. And you've said in a recent interview with Tyann Booth and IFL TV that you were very, very grateful to him in terms of sponsorship and actually getting him on the path to professional boxing. So what was his main influence to yourself as in terms of getting you started in the pro game?
Well, basically, I was on the GB development squad like the assessment weekends, and I'm pretty sure I was about to be handed a place on the development squad after the assessment weeks.
Hmm.
It wasn't Dennis that made the offer to me. I'd been sparring Carl Spencer, and Kevin Sanders
Hmm.
was working for Dennis at the time. So we
Ah.
seemed to spar, and Kevin wanted to train me. He said straight away, he said, "I want to train you. I think you can go to the top. I'm working with Dennis. Dennis will manage and promote you. I'll train you." They put together a little offer, and it was better than what I would have received on the GB. So I went for it. Looking back now, it was way too soon. I think I would have had a good chance of going to Rio. Joe Joyce and Fraser Clark are good heavyweights, but I see
Hmm.
myself. I would have had a good chance. I look back now, and I do kick myself a little bit. But like I say, that's gone. So yeah, I signed with Dennis, and Dennis was good with me. He got me on two world title undercards in arenas, and he got me on an Amir Khan Golden Boy show as well. So it was a massive help. The first 7 fights of my career. I never turned up in shape for the first six. I owed Dennis a
Hmm.
lot, and I gave him an apology, and I told him, I was a young kid at the time, so I didn't put in what I should have put in. Dennis didn't get back what he gave, so now I'm a man. I can admit to them failings, and I am sorry for that. But he was good to me, and he did get me a nice unbeaten record after 7 fights, and put me in good stead for when I signed with Steffi Bull. I was in a good place after I left Dennis.
Yeah. So, so as in terms of your early fights, are you saying that it was strictly down to your own shortcomings as in terms of not being mature enough, as like you just said, you've become a man, you've realised your mistakes, and it's just the fact that you've learned from them mistakes now.
Yeah, my first 5 fights as a pro. It was just easy, it was substandard opposition. There was either poor Eastern European imports that I took out and around, or there was half decent fighters, but there was cruiserweights, So, but that's what you do when you turn pro. And as a 20-year-old heavyweight, that's young, I only had
Hmm.
10 amateur fights. I was still learning on the job. I'm still learning on the job now. I'm still nowhere near the end product. I'm still nearer the beginning than the end in terms of the end product. So it was getting the right opponents, and Dennis did that. My sixth fight, we stumbled against a Bulgarian that had beat Pulev in the amateurs. He was number one Bulgarian, and he hadn't boxed for 6 years. Then he turned pro. He had a deceiving record. No one wants to know, and I ended up getting a draw.
Hmm.
So that was no one's fault that we kind of came up against the ringer. But then I joined the Fury camp. That was Dennis made that happen too, and I had a good win against Larry. And then obviously 14 months out of action due to a little bit of a disagreement with me and Dennis. So I wouldn't change anything that's happened, but it wasn't ideal and it wasn't a good time.
From a personal point of view, I don't want to sound like I'm sucking you off, but I am glad that you are back in action, because from the fights which I have seen, either been at the arenas itself, I believe you fought on one of the Stewie Hall undercards up in Newcastle, I believe. And just from a selfish point of view, it's just nice to see someone such as yourself getting somewhere, especially in South Yorkshire. That is just a personal bias. I'm just glad that you are back in action and doing what you do best. But moving on, you've clearly stated that you are back at the Ingle Gym. May I ask what made you move back to the Ingle Gym?
Yeah, my last two fights, they've been substandard. I've got myself in decent condition. Fought the Frenchman, I just tried to take him out. The same with Gavin. There was no thought behind it. I just got myself fit and then thought I'm going to knock him out, and there was no thought behind it. I've just been staying at the same level now for the past 12 months. That's not down to Steffi. That's just down to myself in terms of I had no hunger to go to the gym and want to learn. I've not learned anything in a while, and I already see the difference there. Dominic's a different character to Steffi. Me and Steffi are friends, and for me, I need a sergeant major kind of character to inspire me to push myself. And Dominic definitely does that. So that's what it's all about, really. It's just a change of scenery. It's more effort for me to get to the gym. It's something I've got to. If I'm making efforts to go to the gym when I get there, you better believe I'm going to train hard.
That is good to hear also. So this leads on to the question on how are you finding things back there? You said it's a little bit more of an effort to get there, as in terms of the travel from Doncaster to Sheffield, but are you actually finding it enjoyable back in the gym again, like with the sergeant major type? Do you feel like you are learning day by day, session by session? So what kind of stuff are you working on in the gym? Is it all boxing technique, or is it with Dominic, his fighters are work really, really hard on the physical specimen kind of thing? So what sort of things are you learning on?
A lot of different things right now. I'm getting my weight down. I'm under 70 stone for the first time in a long time. Only the times I've weighed under 70 stone have been the times I've weighed in for my two previous fights. And so, the Ingle Gym, you go there, you do your lines, you do your little bit of body sparring, and you do your blows, you do the bag. It's just like any other gym, but it's the fighters in the gym. You've got Kell Brook in there, Kid Galahad, Adam Etches, Lee Wood, Jordan Gill. These are all world champions, European champions, undefeated fighters, good fighters, and to be in a gym packed with that kind of talent, you can only learn from that, and you can only aspire to get to where Kell is, to get to where Kid Galahad got to. So it's going back to being a little fish in a big pond, and it makes me hungry. When I see people that are better than me, I don't like that. I want to be the best. So, and to become the best, you got to train with the best, and I believe that's what I'm doing now. But I've put myself out, and hopefully I'll get the results from it.
That is very good to hear. Have you got any developments in terms of dates in play for your next fight?
Yeah, my next fight will be on the Kell Brook undercard. I think he's fighting Jesse Vargas. People seem to be saying. So I'm on the undercard of that. I can say I believe I'm only one win away from a British title fight. I don't think that'll happen next. I think I'm one fight away from a British title fight against, I would expect, Dillian White. And that's the fight that I think everyone seems to be wanting to see. So it's a case of preparing now till September, preparing properly, and then getting in a good opponent and winning in style, letting everyone see what I can really do. The last two fights not really whet anyone's appetite to want to watch me against a fighter like Dillian, because it would seem like a mismatch. But the people in boxing, people that know, they know me and Dillian. It's a real good fight, and it'd be entertaining, in the ring, and it'll also with two good characters. So it'd be entertaining in the build up to it as well.
Touching on Dillian, what did you think of his fight on this past weekend?
I thought it was all right. I think the opponent, being a cruiserweight, you're always going to struggle for 2 or 3 rounds against a cruiserweight because they're fast.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and he was an experienced fighter as well. So I don't
Hmm.
think the performance was that bad. I think back here in America, a lot of heavyweights look bad for 3 or 4
Yeah.
rounds. And then obviously Dillian used his strength and his power, and he got him out of there eventually. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of poor to average heavyweights would have not got that fella out of there and would have struggled. So I don't think he looked in the best condition. Still, I was expecting him to look in better shape. But he's strong, he's tough, and he can punch, so he's going to be a handful for anyone.
Yeah. So touching on back on for yourself for the time being, you did say that you're possibly one fight away from a British title fight. What was the exact reasons why the Dillian White fight was not sanctioned in the first place for the uh, British title? Because I haven't seen a clear explanation from the British Boxing Board of Control. Have you given you a reason, or you managed to Steffi
I
a
think it was
reason?
just, I think it was just down to the fact of inexperience. I think, so one more fight, a proper fight, 10 round
Hmm.
fight. I think something like that. I think the board would pass it then. So I'm not sure what the thought is. I'm not sure if Matchroom have gone back to the board with an appeal on the thing to try and make it happen in Sheffield. I'm not sure. All I've said is I'm happy to fight Dillian White in September for the British title. I'm happy to
Hmm.
fight David Price in Sheffield in September.
Hmm.
And even if them big fights don't come off, I'm happy to fight any other decent names that'll get me them fights further down the line. So,
Hmm.
it's not up to me. I'm just training. I'll just leave it to Steffi and I'll leave it to whatever Dom thinks best,
Hmm.
and we'll see.
Yeah. Has Steffi and Dom given any indication on how many fights that they would ideally like you to have for the rest of the year and caliber of names as such?
I think it's all dependent on, like you say, it's all dependent on what the fights are.
Yeah.
If the Dillian White fight happens in September, obviously I'd probably fit one more in afterwards if successful in that fight.
Hmm.
If the fight in September is only a 6 and 8 rounder, you can fit maybe another two in the end of the year. It just depends on the fight. I'm not sure. I'm not really in a position to say that at the minute. We're just concentrating on the training. September,
Yeah.
early September, is still 10 weeks away, so there's not really much thought on opponent or what's happening. And that'll happen.
Yeah.
Without that will happen. I'm not involved in that side of things, so just
Fair
my job
enough.
to train and I trust them that they will sort something out.
Yeah. So at least the saving grace with that is that you have a date set for your next fight. So at least you're going to be getting out in the next couple of months, which I'm guessing is a positive from your point of view.
Yeah, I'll definitely fight in September. I definitely think minimum I'll be out 2 times before the year's out. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So moving off, if you don't mind talking about a couple of talking points which I have got lined up. So obviously, I'm going to ask you about the Anthony Joshua and Dominic Brazil fight. What were your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I think Brazil did well. I think he was
I
tough.
I
He was
thought he
tough.
did. Yeah, I thought Dominic did much better than a lot of people expected. So I've seen people who are actually quite shocked that it took Anthony so long to get him out of there.
Yeah, I think Brazil. All he did was be tough though. That's all he did. He didn't do anything
Hmm.
offensively. The man was terribly slow.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd pick Dillian White, Price, Chisora. I'd pick all three of them to beat Brazil. He was just a big tough man.
Hmm.
And Joshua offensively, I'm not sure there's a better heavyweight in the world right now than Joshua offensively. The man's very quick, a bit of power. He lets his hands go with bad intentions.
Hmm.
So, he'll take some beating until he comes up against a fighter who can A, take that power and then give it him back, or B, doesn't get hit and gives it him back, like a Tyson Fury or a Klitschko. So, he's very exciting. I'm a big Joshua fan because it's exciting, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of holes in his game, and I'd like to see him against a fighter that can at least exploit them to a certain extent. And Breezel definitely didn't do that. Breezel
Hmm.
offensively was zero.
Yeah. So gonna move on to have you seen the Tyson Fury and Fury drug allegations written by the Sunday Mirror? Got any thoughts on that? Is it just paper talk, or is there any truth in the substance? I don't want to believe it's the same, because I don't really believe in the tabloid newspapers as such as the Sunday Mirror. So I'm going to take their views with a pinch of salt, let's say. So is it more of a surprise that these allegations have come out to you?
Yeah, obviously, I choose not to believe it. I spent time in the Fury camp, I trained there. I spent a lot of time there, and, I would believe it is all nonsense. So, and until I'm shown otherwise or told otherwise by Tyson or Huey themselves, I don't believe it. So,
Yeah, I just hope that a lot of people who are involved in boxing have the same mentality as you and myself and as many others, that if there's proof, I would like to see it, or if there is any truth in the substance, that Tyson and Huey would come out with it. So we'll just leave that to one side. And my final little talking point I want to touch up upon, which has certainly took me by surprise. Was you aware that Erkin Tepper is fighting this weekend?
No, I didn't know that, no.
He's fighting in Germany against Derek Rossi. So that's a bit of a surprise to me, because I honestly thought that he were banned, and many others as well. So if he does fight this weekend, there's got to be a serious question about the drug doping side of the sport. Where what exactly is going on? Because everyone thought that this kid were banned.
Yeah, I think performance enhancing drug use in boxing is rife right now, which is a sad thing to say, but it seems like a fighter every week. One's coming out that failed the test. And I think there's a lot of fighters out there who haven't been caught that are doing it. And I think it seems, for a fighter like myself who's on the way up, that's a little bit upsetting to see, because it leaves you thinking, well, if I'm not doing what these are doing at the highest level, then how am I meant to get to the highest level? But you just have to look at good examples of good fighters who have done it without it. It's crazy to think that they should ban them for life. I've always said that they should just ban them for life, and that's that. But they won't do it, so you just got to get on with it, and you got to do it the best with what you've got, what you're given naturally. And I can only speak for myself, but it's something I definitely wouldn't do myself. It's a difficult subject. It's a difficult thing. You don't know what to say about it, because you're not going to change it.
And there's too many grey areas as well. If you say one thing, someone could say this, but then it just becomes a case of Chinese whispers. So, as I said, it's just a shame that fighters such as Tepper, who we all thought were banned, and many others who we all know as such to be taking performance enhancing drugs, and we can't obviously say out due to legal ramifications. So we'll just leave it as it is on that score. So dare I ask on how are things in the bedsit at the minute?
Yeah, the bedsit's good. It's good. It's a funny joke. Lillian's got jokes. He's definitely got jokes. He's funny.
Yeah. You've got to give Dillian that. Like, you two do have a good rapport as such, although it's only over Twitter. But as he said, that fight would make it would be certainly be entertaining in the build-up, and it would be a good fight as well. But we'll just see what happens with that score. As he said, he possibly 1 or 2 fights away from it, and we don't want to give the fans false hope as such when it's definitely going to be happen. So on that score, Dave, I just want to thank you very much for your time today, and I wish you good luck in the build-up to the September 5th card.
Thanks a lot, mate. I appreciate that.
No worries, mate. Take it easy.